Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scotty D, and your host, the head of creative Eddie Cool. The Sports Bros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Oh, once again, it's another fine and wonderful Tuesday, and that can only mean one thing. It's time once again for your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. Look at us, if you look at the background, you see Scotty D representing his Hillers of Trinity High School, B-Live representing the Sports Bros, of course, and me too, and Clemson, and him representing Clemson, and me representing the Sports Bros as well. I'm happy to be here. It's Tuesday. Head of creative on this head of creative stuff, because if you know, you know. But that's enough of my incoherent rambling. I'm here to introduce two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, the almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? I can safely say this. We just passed the last weekend of not having
slam
meaningful football. Stop it. We're going into what they somewhat call week 0, but it is the regular season of college football coming upon us this coming weekend. That's why I had to break out the polo, because you know what I'm saying, got to get ready, because your boy and his Clemson Tigers are number 4 in the nation, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. Number 4 in the nation preseason poll. Oh yeah, and then there's another team that's being represented with the Sports Bros. They've got 2 total votes in the AP poll, and then Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh got some votes. They got some votes, but they're up there a little bit. So we're not talking about them too.
Kenny. I just had to go ahead.
The quarterback formerly known as the starter of the Pittsburgh Panthers. So what do they do? What do they do from here? Go ahead and introduce the other guy. Let's see what he has to say to start off the show. You know he's going to sing something. So bless us with his wonderful, no, I can't even lie like that. Just have him sing something.
All right.
Roll that beautiful beam footage.
And as introduced earlier, here is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, the assistant athletic director of Trinity High School, the Hillers, the runner of the scoreboard, the spotter, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the money man, Scotty D.
It's a family affair. It's a family affair with my 2 bros, Eddie Cole and the stunningly handsome B-Live.
Did he just
sporting the Clemson gear, looking stunningly handsome today. I'm excited to talk, and I'm excited to share some news with you. But today, I don't know if you heard this earlier, I was named the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. Thank you very much. I'm very excited.
See, that's why I didn't trust a thing he just said. Because for him to call me stunningly handsome at the beginning of the show, just let me further know that we about to roll into some BS. And so I ain't trusted one bit. And Eddie Cool, we're gonna talk about this and because he just got like a 15-second introduction. I just got a 5-second introduction.
That's because it's Scott Donnelly and the Sports Bros podcast.
We have talked about. I will walk off the show right now. We're not doing this. A, you're not going to take over the show. B,
I'm sorry. I'm just reading right here. It's Baker Mayfield. It wasn't me. I'm sorry. I got confused. I thought. Anyway, let's talk about some sports here, Eddie Cool. Let's talk about, before we get into a fight, let's talk about some sports.
All right, well, let's get right into it. The top of the order. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. Fellas, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but boy, did I see the tweets and see the memes, and I hear about Kamaru Usman.
Whew.
A kick upside the head, a kick that was heard around the world, a K-I-C-K on the back of his neck. In the words of Bernie Mac, it made his teeth click like it made him do all that. Scotty D, what the hell happened at UFC?
Leon Edwards threw a lottery kick and cashed it in because the best fighter in that fight did not win the fight. Kamaru Usman was clearly the better fighter of the two, and he got caught. And it happens from time to time. It happened years ago when George St. Pierre got knocked out by Matt Serra. And Matt Serra is not a Hall of Famer, but that night he walked out of the ring with his hands in the air and a belt around his waist. And that happened this week with Leon Edwards. It's not that Leon Edwards is not a good fighter. And a matter of fact, he was the first to take Usman down in the UFC in the first round when he tripped him up and drove him to the mat. And he won that first round. But then he did not win any of the next 3 rounds. He was visibly frustrated. He was tired because this was in Utah and it was at elevation, and Usman trains regularly at elevation, so he was not nearly as fatigued as Edwards was. But I don't know if you saw this, B Live, but at the end of the first round, when Usman went back to his corner, his trainer said, "We're going to wear this MFR down. I just don't want you to get caught with anything stupid." He said something to that effect, meaning you got to be more careful than to get caught like he did with that takedown. And then it was somewhat prophetic because there in the 5th round, Usman ducked his head to the right, and that was where the kick came from the left, and it put him out instantly. I mean, Leon didn't even have to go after him and throw any punches. It was over before he hit the ground. He was instantly out, and it was beautiful. And give Edwards credit, but it was just, to me, it seemed flukish. Because I just don't think the better fighter won. Now, guys, if you remember last week, I predicted that Usman was getting close to the end of his title reign, but I said it was not going to be this past Saturday. I thought it was going to be with his next opponent, which would have been Khamzat Chimaev. Now, I don't know necessarily where the UFC is going to go, because it's not always automatic that the champion gets a rematch. I mean, Ronda Rousey got knocked out by Holly Holm and they never fought again. That was the end of that. Holly Holm moved on, and Ronda Rousey went to the WWE. She had one more fight, got her butt kicked, and that was it for her. I tend to think, though, Usman, having been the champion for so many years, I think it's warranted that he gets a rematch, especially considering that he was winning this fight. It wasn't like he got clearly outpointed. He was clearly losing. So I think it is warranted that he would fight Leon Edwards again. And I think he would beat him if they would fight again. But, with UFC, you never know. They still always go with the injury suspensions and so forth after the match. So I don't know what that's looking like. But I would certainly think Usman deserves the next shot at the title, just based on the success he's had defending it all this time. B Live, what'd you think? I mean, do I sound like I'm on the money here with a lottery kick, with a lucky kick in that fight?
See, here's the thing. I don't think it was a lucky kick. I don't think it was lucky at all. Leon Edwards.
No, maybe not lucky, because
Yeah.
because you're. I think you're about to say he's a skilled mixed martial artist and was deliberately trying to do that. So go ahead. I'm going to agree with you on that point.
So yeah, and the thing about it is, I get what you're pointing out is that at the point of time, because I was talking to myself. I don't know what y'all was doing. I'm over here. I'm over here like, man, this is like I was when I looked at the first round. Yeah, Leon Edwards won that first round. He took Usman down for the first time in his UFC career. I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And then the second round happened, and Usman wore him down. Third round happened, Usman wore him down. Fourth round happened, Usman wore him. Like, it literally looked like Leon Edwards had given up. So much to the point that before the 5th round, Leon Edwards' trainer, his coach, whoever it was in the and it was like, dude, stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Yes.
I can't do the Jamaican accent, but he was laying on thick.
Yes.
And he was like, because Leon Edwards literally looked like he was mentally, emotionally defeated. He's like, I don't know what to do.
Couldn't wait for it to be over.
Yeah. Fifth round came, Usman doing the same thing. But when it happened, it looked like Usman was like, man, I got this. Ain't nothing to worry about. And literally, he stopped pressing forward. And that's when it happened, where Leon Edwards was allowed to feign a left hook. Usman dodged it, but met that left kick, and it was a wrap. It was over. Not even, that was calculated, but Usman allowed him to do so because Usman was, the entire time he was pressing, Leon Edwards did not have the wrestling ability to keep Usman off of him. He was wearing him down. The very second, I kid you, a split second where Usman was no longer attacking, Edwards feigned a left and kicked him with a left, and Usman eyes rolled the back of his head. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! It was calculated.
But to your point, B Live, earlier in the fifth round, Usman was fighting a smart fight again. He had him up against the cage, was dirty boxing kind of, and was wearing on him. And the referee stood him up and pulled him off the cage. So maybe he was just thinking, well, and then there was actually a low blow after that too. That separated the action.
Was that the one time? Was it Usman or was it Edwards that grabbed on the cage? Was that a different fight altogether?
No, that was in that. I think that was in the fourth round, and he put him back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what it was.
Edwards had pulled himself up on the cage, and Herb Deans, the referee, stopped him and made him go back to that position, which is a good call. Yeah.
Get back to where you was at. You can't use the cage in that way. But yeah, it was one of those things where Leon Edwards it looked like he was emotionally defeated, but he still had the mental foresight to that was very calculated. It was one of those things where when you say lottery, it had to hit the exact point in time when it did. There was no there was no 15 seconds before. It had to happen right then and there. If it didn't, because it wasn't going to happen.
Right, and there was only 1 minute left.
Yeah, it was time was not of the essence, but when it happened, the roof blew off of the place. Did this just happen?
It was so one-sided that the fans were booing because Usman was just controlling it, and it was not really an exciting fight. Usman was basically taking him down at will, ground and pound. It was not much resistance actually from the second round on of him trying to take Edwards down, but. That's why they. I mean, that's a 5-round fight. That's why you fight it out all the way to the end, and new champion.
Now, and I got to ask you this but according to the UFC rankings, I guess because you know more about it than I do, Chimaev was next in line. What's going on with Kobe Covington? Is he injured?
I don't believe he's injured, but he's already had his shot more recently, and he just hasn't fallen below in the ranks. He was Usman's, I think, most recent opponent. Well, I think he was. Usman defeated him for a second time. I mean, Usman has basically cleared out the division except for Chimaev. I mean, everybody else that's below him, Gilbert Burns, Covington, Masvidal, all these guys have already gotten in there with Usman. Even Leon Edwards was in his second fight with him. I mean, Usman has pretty much cleared out the division, except for maybe some of the young up-and-comers who are just cracking the rankings. Chimaev, I believe, was the next guy up that he hadn't faced yet. So that was most likely going to be the next fight, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, that sounds right. And that's why I lean on you for these certain things, because I'm all glitz and glamour. I see the fights. I don't see what goes on in the background with the rankings and everything. But now, Chimaev, I don't know what to tell you, bro. It's got to be a rematch. It has to be.
I kind of think so too.
Leon Edwards, as good as he has been, that wasn't a convincing win. It wasn't a convincing. That was literally
that's pretty convincing.
Well, I mean Hail Mary-ish.
I agree. Yeah,
he did,
and that's why I'm saying. Go ahead, Eddie.
I mean, he did beat the champ, and the title did change hands. But I get what you mean. I see that.
It was a Hail Mary. You won, yes, but clearly you weren't the better fighter.
Right. Had it gone like had Edwards defeated him 50-45 in a unanimous decision and owned him the whole fight, then I would say at that point Usman might have to get further down the line and maybe win 2 more fights to get back. But that's not what happened. He was winning that fight clearly, decisively. And like I said, he has had so many title defenses. He's not just like a guy who won the title earlier in the year, and this was his first title defense. And that seems to be more of the trend. I mean, you got Figueiredo and Moreno have fought 4 times already in the flyweight division and might be heading for yet another fight within the next year or two. So rematches they don't always get written off in the UFC, but they aren't always granted, but in this case, I do think that I think it's warranted to have a rematch. But I predicted that Usman was going to lose. I was a little early on that because I did not think he was going to lose to this fight. I just didn't. I thought he might have a little problem with the next guy, but not this one. But anyway, that's the way it rolls in the UFC, man. You just never, ever can tell. You never know, man. It's never know.
Any given Saturday, as they say. And speaking of Saturdays, college football.
Nice transition.
Yeah, speaking of any given Saturday, college football is a mere handful of days away. All right, and I forgot 5, 4, 3, 2. At this point in time, you can damn near see it. You can damn near smell it. You can damn near feel it. You can damn near taste the blades of grass. But you shouldn't be eating grass unless you're a cow. But I digress. All right, so it is time. That's some nice grass better behind you, Scotty D. Yep, it's college football season coming up shortly, and you know what that means, the return of the B-Live Top 5. But before we get into it, let's take a look at these here AP rankings. B-Live, who is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5?
All right, AP and the AP Top 25 and the Coaches Poll, they have also released their preseason Coaches Poll, and they do mirror each other. There's a couple little discrepancies I'm going to go into. 1 through 5 are the same. Starting at number 5, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Man, oh man, Notre Dame, they seem to keep staying right up there. They're right on the cusp, I believe. They return a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent coming in. At number 4, man, oh man, you see the orange right here. You see the Paul. Clemson. Clemson is favored to win the ACC.
This is our year. This is our year.
Scotty D, if you don't get off of my segment.
This is our year.
All
roads lead to Dabo. This is our year.
I can't wait to get that Eat Pitt shirt. I'm getting that shirt, by the way. It's a West Virginia shirt, but I'm getting that shirt. Sweet Caroline, eat.
Let's go, Pitt.
Coming in at number 3, and the AP poll with 3 first place votes is your reigning, defending, undisputed college football national champions, the Georgia Bulldogs, coming in at number 3. They lost a lot of talent to the NFL, but they have been recruiting at a high level, and they're trying to run it back. Coming in at number 2 with 6 first place votes, the Ohio State University, and that sets up a top 5 matchup in week 1, where you have the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes going against the number 5 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That will tell the tale of how this year will go. And coming in first place with a whopping 54 first place votes is the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Nick Saban, them boys voted number 1 all over again with the return of Bryce Young, Heisman favorite. So you got CJ Stroud for Ohio State, Heisman favorite. So that's going to be a nice battle to see throughout the year. But 1 through 5, you've heard the names up there before: Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, and Notre Dame. The coaches poll is very similar when it comes to first place votes. Alabama with 54, Ohio State with 5, Georgia with 6. There is one lone first place vote in the coaches poll that is just ridiculous to me. I'm just throwing it out there. There's one coach out there that believes that the Texas Longhorns are the best team in the nation. They sit at number 18 in the coaches poll, but there is one lone coach out there that believes that the Texas Longhorns finish the year 5-7. They're starting a red shirt freshman. You may have remembered his name because I talked about him in an earlier episode. Quinn Ewers that quit on his high school team to go chase the money, and he enrolled at Ohio State and then didn't win the starting job at Ohio State, so transferred from Ohio State to Texas and has now been named the starter for the Texas Longhorns. So they're starting a redshirt freshman, hasn't played a game in college football yet, didn't play his senior year in high school, and some coach out there said, that guy right there, he's going to lead the Texas Longhorns, and they are the number one team in the nation. I want to know who this coach is. But that's what college football brings to the table, some ridiculous. So, a couple things I want to point out. I'm going to say it first. You heard it from me here first, live on the air, not live on the air, but you're going to hear it on the hear it anyway. I believe that Clemson is overrated.
No, this is our year.
I said it here.
Okay, why are they rated so high then? Because of how, I mean,
let me
had a less
for this one.
They did have a less than stellar season last year, and they're bringing back the same starting quarterback. Correct? I mean, DJ Ukulele is starting.
Uangalele.
Yeah.
But yes, that's what that. I'm sorry. Hopefully, this reaches his ears. Well, there's a lot of people they may have reached his ears, and you got to show us more. Because there is a guy there that is waiting in the helms in the name of Cade Klubnik, and this could easily be a Kelly Bryant, Trevor Lawrence situation. Kelly Bryant started the first 4 games, and Coach Dabo was like, "Yeah, you're not doing it for us. Put Trevor Lawrence in, and the rest is history." So I honestly see that DJ is on a short leash. I don't believe we're the number 4 team in the country yet, but we can be. Our defense rivals our defense back in 2018.
That's what I was getting. I was wondering if it was defensively what was causing them to have the high rating. But who else is going to beat them in the ACC this year? I mean, is there another legit challenger? I mean, Pitt last year won by being carried by Kenny Pickett, who's now possibly the starting quarterback of the Steelers. So that guy's not walking through the door. Pitt's ranked 17, I believe, with they're with uncertainty at starting quarterback at this point. They got a guy named Slovis, Kevon Slovis, that transferred from USC, and Nick Patty, who played last year. But they don't seemingly. I mean, of course, I'm going to be rooting for them, but it doesn't seem like they have the strength again to be the ACC to win it a second year in a row. Who else are we looking at in the ACC that could possibly topple Clemson this year?
Well, in the rankings, I mean, NC State has always been this little sneaky. They've been a little sneaky. They snuck up on us last year. I don't see them regressing that much. There's a lot of hype down there in Coral Gables. They got Miami ranked 16th. Wake Forest is right around there. They're at 22nd. NC State's ranked 13th. So they're saying that there's a few ACC teams that could make some noise, but they believe that Clemson is the overall favorite to win that, and they believe that a ACC champion, barring what happened last year, with Clemson being there, if Clemson runs the table, they'll make it to the playoffs. So I guess that's where their reasoning is at for putting them number 4. I don't like it because that's where we were higher than that last year when we faced Georgia, and we came out and laid
but that was a historically good defensive team right there last year, and I know they lost some guys to the pros, but I imagine Georgia and Poly's in the position of restocking the pond in the way that they've been meaning to get to that level for many years. Do we think collectively that Bryce Young will repeat at Heisman as a Heisman Trophy winner? Because I personally kind of feel like if CJ Stroud has a good year, the committee would more than likely pick a new winner, because they don't seem to want to go back to back. You know, they kind of want to leave that to Archie Griffin, and wouldn't it be something if an Alabama guy deserved it, but they gave it to an Ohio State guy instead? I mean, and that's possible. That's entirely possible.
This is one of those things where first week says everything.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Stroud, number 2 Ohio State versus number 5 Notre Dame. If that's the make or break.
Where is that game?
You see, so you be asking questions that I ain't ready for.
Okay, I didn't know if you had that pulled up because I know they also have. I mean, it's not till later in October, but they I believe Ohio State is at Penn State this year. And remember last year Penn State got off to a 5-0 start, and their quarterback Sean Clifford got hurt, and he should be back healthy this year. I mean, he was a pretty capable quarterback last year, and Penn State I don't believe they're even in the top 25 B Live if I'm not mistaken.
Not at all.
Quick little research. It is a home game for Ohio State. It is in Columbus.
Is it a primetime game?
Oh yes, it is. It is.
Still have the goofy tuba player out there dotting the I at nighttime, maybe high kneeing and high stepping out there, best damn band in the land, all that good stuff.
I literally just watched on TikTok their practice of him dotting the I.
Oh, I hate it so much. I just hate it.
It is just as ridiculous, especially when they're practicing and the tuba player is shirtless. I was just like, my eyes are burning.
For crying out loud. I hate that exists. I hate that it's out there.
So he's out there chest naked with a tuba, dotting eyes.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. I can't get that image out of my head right now. I wanted to report it on TikTok. I needed to remove immediately. Because why? But I figure I might as well admit that since you brought it up. So
misery.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you gotta think like Columbus is like in the middle of the state, and if it's anything like the other states across the country where cities or towns are in the middle of the state, it gets really, really hot. And just imagine somebody out there with a big old tuba swinging around, probably got baby oil on his chest naked, talking about I'm a dot of I. I'm gonna need you to put on some SPF 15 and a damn shirt.
I hope it slips and he breaks it. I hope it's sweaty and drops the tuba.
Sweaty and stinky and musty all over the place. Like, I understand tradition, but damn. I mean,
All right.
It is.
Enough about that tuba player, Eddie. Cool. Take me somewhere else.
So please, anyway.
Yes, I'll take you somewhere else and shout out to B Live for the early season B Live Top 5. Coming up next, we got a warrior. No, not the ultimate warrior. We have a special guest, American Ninja Warrior, by the name of James Burns, coming to hang out with us here at the Sports Bros Podcast. Coming up next, stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sports Bros Podcast. And as promised, we have a guest. That's right. Yes, we have a guest. This guest has a connection to the Sports Bros Podcast because his father is the one, the only Craig Burns, loyal listener to the Sports Bros Podcast. Who is this guest, you might ask? I'll tell you who he is. He's an American Ninja Warrior. All right. Straight out of Massachusetts. Please welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, James Burns. How you doing, James?
Doing great. I'm glad to be here.
Great, man. Thanks for joining us here on the Sports Bros Podcast. We've been trying to, make this happen for a while, but we finally got it. We finally make it happen. So let's go ahead and not lollygag and go ahead and jump right into it. All right, James, with a handful of episodes left in the show, like where's the status of the show like right now? Is that the semifinals, finals, where we at right now?
So right now, we are about halfway through the national finals. There are 4 stages that make up the national finals. And the episode tonight just had a bunch of people run stage 2. There's 1 episode left, and that'll see competitors on stage 3. And if anyone makes it through, they will have a showdown on stage 4.
So next week is going to be the season finale. Is that what you're saying? Next Monday?
Yes, 1 episode remains.
And you know what happens already, right?
I do. I was out there doing some testing, so signed many things that don't allow me to disclose what happened.
You can't tell us. You can't tell us, huh?
No, he's not going
No, I cannot.
He's contractually obligated to plead the fifth. So we definitely respect that. Respect the honor of the show and everything. And so, I would like to lead off. What piqued your interest with American Ninja Warrior, and how was the process of getting on the show?
So, taking it all the way back to the beginning, I was always into more unconventional athletic activities, not necessarily doing your traditional sports. And that type of path is really what led me to Ninja. I was fascinated with the show, started training at the gym, and just started getting better and better. The show has a traditional rule where you are supposed to be at least 19 years of age in order to apply, though they have been inviting on some younger kids. So when I hit that age, I decided to apply, decided, why not give it a shot. And I actually didn't get selected my first year. So then a whole nother year of training. I got back into it with what I thought was a much better submission video, and I guess that one they seem to like it.
So that's the process. Everyone has to submit. I guess you probably have some written questions and stuff, but then a video proving that you actually can go out and do some of these challenges.
Yes. To go into more detail, it's a 3-minute video to prove both your ninja skill. You're supposed to show some clips, but also they want to see some comfortability talking on camera because they do have interview portions of the show, and they want to make sure that you would be prepared for those.
So, like, at what stage are you at when you say, I think this is what I really want to do? I mean, because for me, I eliminated this from being a possibility when I struggled with the monkey bars when I was about 7 years old. I can't do monkey bars or pull-ups, and that's like half the battle won to do this ninja stuff. I mean, at what stage you say, I think I'm good enough for this and I want to compete? Because I know there's not just American Ninja Warrior, the TV show. There's competitions all around the country of this type of thing.
Yeah, so that was actually interesting. It's something I'm still struggling with is, having that confidence in myself in competitions, because there kind of is no like moment where it necessarily clicks. When I first started with Ninja, I actually couldn't do a pull-up, and I couldn't even pull myself on top of the warp wall. There was an 8-foot warp wall at this gym, which the one on the show is 14 feet. So an 8-foot wall is quite small by comparison and quite easy. Many like kids can do it. And I couldn't pull myself up when I started. And so it's been a long journey of just putting in hard work. And sometimes I do need to like stop and look back and be like, hey, we've really come a long way. And I need to sometimes have a bit more confidence when I'm out there on the course.
All right. Now, speaking of your training regimen, what is your training regiment? Try saying that 3 times fast. What is your yeah, I know, right? What is your training regimen when it comes to participating in the competitions?
So the funny thing about Ninja is there really is no established way to train. Everybody kind of does it in a different way. So I'll say what I've found myself doing the past few months, but everybody out there is doing something slightly different, and we really don't know what is the best. Only time will tell. We'll see who rises to the top, and clearly what they're doing works for them. So for me personally, my training schedule is dictated by where I am every week. So on the days that I'm teaching Ninja, that is Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll do a little workout in the morning. That'll look like something like a 1-mile run, followed by about 12 minutes of like core. Now, core is very important because when you're hanging with your hands, what directs yourself is using your core to lift your legs and kick them in a certain direction. That's what generates your swing. So having a really functional core is super important for Ninja. So about 12 minutes of that. And then usually I have this pull-up routine that I'll do where it's a 10 by 10. So 10 sets of 10 pull-ups with about a minute rest in between. And these pull-ups aren't going to be done on a bar. These are done on a ledge to strengthen the fingertips. Okay. And this is something that I've been making the ledge progressively smaller as I've been going. When I started off, it was probably inch and a half. And then once that became too easy and I knew that I could manage something smaller, cut it down to an inch. And now I can do it on probably 3/4 of an inch is about the size that I'm doing 100 pull-ups on.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. That's incredible.
3/4 of an inch. That's not even a fingertip, mind you. That what is going on? I've got to ask this because, as you mentioned before, 19 years old, and so we're not going to talk about Scotty D at 7 years old when TV was still black and white, but we're gonna you open that door.
Yeah.
But so unconventional athletics, because there's so many things where, like, the conventional way. Eddie Cool played football growing up. I played basketball growing up. Scotty D ran his mouth growing up. I mean, that's obvious. And he may have sang. He may have been part of the Glee Club growing up. There's a moment. What was your traditional sport before? Like, was there a traditional sport before you went the ninja route?
No, there really was no traditional sport. I was always outside. I was spending a lot of time in the woods. I was doing a lot of mountain bike riding and hiking and stuff like that, and kind of would run around in the yard and set up like little obstacle courses. But it was more just kind of like jumping around random stuff that we had. But there really was no exercising or training until ninja, and that's why I'm very grateful to have found it, because I can only imagine I'd be in a much worse space if I hadn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, Bill, but this is still a relatively new concept, because when I was a kid, there were kids that were good on the monkey bars. There were kids that were climbing trees and stuff that I wasn't good at, and they weren't interested in baseball and football like I was. And what I learned, I met you a few years ago at Beast Ninja, which is the gym in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that specializes in this stuff. And what I learned is that there seems to be like a whole community of people that know each other, not just from competing on the show, but other events and stuff. It seems like there's like a whole positive world of people doing what you do that are like supportive of one another. It doesn't seem like a competition of rivalries as much as it is, of friendships. I mean, am I correct with that?
Yeah, you're completely spot on. I found the ninja community to be incredibly supportive. When you're in a real niche like this, there's definitely a lot of bonding that happens because everybody wants it to grow, and everybody wants everybody else to keep going, because it certainly is no fun to compete against yourself. You want everybody else to keep getting better to really push yourself as well.
Yeah, and what I saw from you in that gym, I mean, and at that point, I mean, this is 3 years ago, and you've come a long way even since then. I thought you were incredible. I mean, you're flying around from bars, you're swinging on things and landing on bars on your feet, and you're crawling up the wall outside the building. I mean, I was like, this kid is really good at this. Go ahead, be live.
Oh yeah, I was because first thing I think about when you go an unconventional route, you see different videos, different things, and you said that you build your own obstacles. First thing that pops in my head is parkour. Is that something that you ventured in at all growing up, or anything of that nature, or was it just more or less just like because it's one of the ninja and you speak of it as a community. That's something that we didn't grow up having. Like I don't like, maybe there was a few kids in gymnastics, but really that wasn't even much of a thing growing up or whatnot. And so essentially, trying to just get an idea, like it's grown so much, and now it's nothing for a child to see the ninja community and that be their thing growing up. And that's something I want you, if just something of that nature, like what would you say, like, because again, ninja, I don't have the background on it, but you have more of a background on it. When did ninja become a community for you, and what was that basis of that community?
So the first time I really started meeting people was actually when I went to my very first competition. I went to a competition in December of 2018, and it was a National Ninja League competition. And at that point, there already was a community surrounding. This was the 4th season that the National Ninja League was going on. And so there's already a community of people going on. And I showed up and I didn't know anyone. So of course there's going to be that immediate feeling like I was an outsider. So it feels a little weird in the beginning, of course. That's the one downside of a tight knit community. Sometimes it's hard to work your way in, but everybody was super welcoming. I remember there was this kid. So in competitions, people will carry chalk because people will sometimes take a break in between obstacles to reapply chalk to their hands before taking on the next one. And so I remember there was people who would volunteer to carry the chalk for me, even though like they hadn't met me before. And I remember that being super important because that's definitely an important part of the competition. And there was also people, to think back, sharing different approaches to the obstacles. When certain people, when they come up with a new technique or a new idea of a better way of completing something, they don't hold it to themselves and try to win with that. They do share it with everybody else so that everyone has that same opportunity. And that's something that's really special.
Yeah, I like that, the camaraderie. I mean, it's evident. You can even see it on the show where, you have little groups of people rooting for one another. So on this particular season, they started off in San Antonio. You were there first, right?
Yes, I went down to San Antonio. I believe that was back in March. They had 5 different qualifying days. And so the way that format works is there are 5 groups of, I believe, about 80 people. And so each group competes on a slightly different course. So the other groups don't really matter for you. You won't kind of see them until either the semifinals or the national finals. You're only concerned with your one group. And if you are top 30 in your group, then you move on to the semifinals.
Okay, so then that moved you to Los Angeles.
Yes. So the of 30 are then reshuffled into 4 groups of a little more than 40, I want to say. Somewhere around 40, I believe, was on my day. And then you need to get top 12 of that group in order to go on to the national finals.
Okay, and that's how you get to Las Vegas. Now you were kicking butt on the course, and what was it? The kaleidoscope? Is that what that would cost you on this one? So the kaleidoscope, it looked like a stop sign with a little ledge on it, and it spun. Is that kind of a description of it?
Yeah, that actually is a good one because it did have about the front. It was about eight sides. So it was these little cliffhanger ledges, and they were all 4 of these boards were all connected together. So you needed to turn the first one in order to bring the second one into place. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. Which it was a clever design. I got to admit, it was a pretty cool obstacle. I made it all the way to the final move and just peeled out. Just couldn't hold on. Just completely pumped out. My fingers had nothing left, which was kind of devastating, especially given, as I mentioned earlier, the amount of cliffhanger practice that I do. I do a lot of pull-ups on those small ledges, and it just wasn't quite enough.
Well, I mean, no shame in where you fell because you weren't the only person that went down off of that obstacle. I mean, I saw a lot of people that struggled getting through that one, and I even saw some people who were like past champions, like Jesse Graff, who had struggled, in this competition. I mean, just because you're good at it one year doesn't mean you're going to come back and kick butt on it the next year. But you told me something else that was interesting in that they select a handful of people to go to Vegas to kind of prep for the finals, and you were among that group, correct?
Yeah, so when you're eliminated, you have the chance to kind of reach out and apply to try to go for testing. So the testers, it's a group of some people who didn't get the call in the first place, people who weren't on the show but still want to be around the obstacles, and then other people who were eliminated in either the qualifying or semifinals rounds, but still want a chance to get on more obstacles. And so going out there, it's a lot of waiting around. You get you are working around their schedule, but it's all worth it to be able to get on 1 or 2 obstacles each day. It ends up being a valuable experience because you can't just go anywhere to get on obstacles over water like that. Some of this stuff is super high up in Vegas. It's not uncommon for some of the obstacles to be like 20, 22 feet above the water in Vegas, which is an incredible mental challenge
That's
because
a
it is
daunting task.
quite hard to not like look down and to just stay focused on what you're supposed to be holding on to.
It's incredible. The stuff you guys do is mind blowing to me. I mean, so that type of experience, does that now? I'm sure you want to get back there again next year, right? So when's that process begin? Because I know that these things are filmed well in advance. So what's your cycle like now to try to get back at, and what do you have to do to get ready? I mean, you work on your grip strength. I mean, how do you get more grip strength? How do you get your little fingertips strong enough to get to the next level?
So another element is endurance. It's one thing to be able to do like 5 pull-ups on a small ledge or 10 pull-ups, but it's another thing to be able to like traverse across a ledge that size for, you know, a time that might be 30 seconds. And then it's a whole nother thing to do that after having done, say, 6 other obstacles. So what I found is one of the most effective tools for getting ready for a course is just training courses, right? I believe in training, you should train for what you're actually going to do, right? Pull-ups can only get you so far. And so going to gyms and running through one obstacle after another, trying to take as little of a break as possible, is really the best form of training.
And so one last question for me is watching the episode, watching all of these competitors. There's got to be like some of these obstacles can't be at your local gym. So it's like the first time you see these is when you're at the actual competition. And so I'm pretty sure you did do a run through of each of the obstacles. And so I just got a quick list of what they had for them in Los Angeles. You had the shrinking steps, lunatic ledges, air surfer, spinning bridge, the kaleidoscope that got you, warp wall, salmon ladder, ghost town. They had a split decision, which was actually pretty cool, where everybody went dragon back except for one person. I went with the spin zone, and then you had the spider trap. Out of all of those obstacles, which one did you find the most daunting, and then one that's just a normal thing?
So the one I was actually the most worried about going into it was the air surfer. I don't know if you're familiar with what that obstacle is, but if you picture a upside down snowboard where you're basically holding on to the handles. And so it's like a neutral grip. And then it has these big cushion things on the sides, these like rails that are hanging down. And you need to traverse across using just the surfboard or snowboard handles. That one was scary because if you have a little misstep, even if you have super good grip strength, you could still be hanging onto that board. But if the board's falling into the water with you, your tight grip on it isn't doing you any good.
Right.
So that one was a little scary, especially because people have done their best to recreate that obstacle in gyms, but not any gym that I've ever been to. So that's where it was a little scary.
Yeah, you made it through that one, and it was one of the things. I did a little research before the show because I didn't want to come unprepared, you know. But yeah, that was I saw the air surfer. I saw like the warp wall. I think is something that everybody has at this point in time. I think that's one of the most duplicated in most places.
Definitely.
The spider trap was interesting. What I think I heard they said the doors were like 50 pounds heavy. Ooh. And you're traversing just with your leg strength up the walls and have to push on the 50. Man,
it's a quite unique obstacle. I've actually never touched that one, the one on the show.
Oh wow! So it would have been like if you'd have made it that far, that'd have been the first time you've actually would have tried it.
Yes, yeah. So any of the obstacles, that's the way it is for every single obstacle each year. The first time you're touching it is when you're competing on it.
You don't get any trials?
No.
Jeez.
The only time you would ever do something twice is if they bring back an obstacle and you did it last year, or if, say, you tested in a previous year and then they bring back one of those obstacles in the next year, because you obviously cannot compete after having tested in a season. But if you
that makes sense.
test in a previous season, then you can come back.
I wouldn't. You telling me that I'm walking in?
Yeah.
Ain't no way. I gotta practice on that at least
Yeah,
3
so-
or 4 times.
What we do is we break it down into the types of movements. So
Right.
there's certain like explosive movements, there's certain static movements. And so when you come across a new obstacle, you can break down the type of movements that it will require, and then you can kind of you will have done those types of movements before on different obstacles. And although it will not be the exact same, so someone experienced will be able to look at that and break down the type of movements that it will be required to complete it.
I like his wording there. I like the words explode and break because right now my ACL exploded, my ankle broke. Like yo, because I am not like so I'm in complete admiration of what you do. Like you're still at a very young age. You've absolutely got 3 fans here at a Sports Bros podcast, man. Keep doing what you do. I know. I want you to give a chance to shout out to the gyms that you work at back at home because they want to recognize them as well, working with you. You being a coach and everything. You're teaching young kids, and you're still a young adult yourself. So I mean, much admiration.
Some of these kids are going to be better than me in a few short years, and I'm not gonna. Here's the thing I always say is I'm not gonna make it easy for them. I'm gonna put up a hard fight, but I still see them. They're going to be out there crushing it down at Strive Ninja Fitness in Franklin, Mass. We got quite a strong team. I'm very proud of all of them. They put in a lot of hard work.
Hey James, before we let you go, too, I wanted to ask you about the when you went on the show, you presented the hosts with some Lego microphones.
I like it.
Yes,
that's also a side hobby of yours, huh?
Yes, that has been a hobby for me for many years. That is the one thing that stood out for them that I mentioned in this past submission video that I think they liked the most. I haven't had as much time for it since starting Ninja, but it's still a great way to relax and stuff. You need some slow sedentary things in life as well, but as long as it's not everything in life.
Hey, but you know what? This seems like this is. I've come across nothing but positivity since I discovered the ninja scene myself, and it seems like you have a career path of some kind. At least you have a fun, positive path going forward. And man, we really wish you the best, and I hope you get on that show next year and you hit plunger after plunger. That's what they call it, right? The plunger,
the buzzer.
The buzzer, yeah. I hope you
Yes.
hit the I hope you hit a ton of buzzers next year and you kick butt on that show and all the competitions. I mean, I know that's just one of many you do throughout the year. I know there's a lot of the show's not the be all end all with the ninja community. So, man, we wish you all the best of luck in all your endeavors, and we thank you for taking a little time spending with us here on the podcast.
Thank you so much. I hope that I was able to teach some people what ninja were, maybe someone who didn't know what it was before, and yeah, hopefully maybe I'll be back some point to tell you about next season.
Oh yeah, yes, we will have you back. We will have you back, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, James Burns, American Ninja Warrior competitor. Catch American Ninja Warrior Monday nights on NBC. NBC, cut that check. Quit playing. Yeah. Catch him on NBC. James, man, thanks for your time, man. We greatly appreciate it here at Sports Bros Podcast.
Coach Burns, I like it.
That's right, Coach Burns. And looking at my watch, fellas, which I don't have on, but guess what time it is?
What time is it?
What time? What do you have? What do you got going on?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. It is time once again for our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. With that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it. Choices of the voices. James Burns coming at you.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. You heard the woman, she ain't lying. It is the choices of the voices, where we ask y'all a question, y'all give us the answer, then we talk about it, and at the very end, we give our answer as well, all right? With that being said, Scotty D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
What NFL head coach will most likely be fired at the end of the season or sooner? Looking for those hot butt cheeks on the hot seat. And there's a good chance we have some good answers here, and there's a good chance that everybody's right. There's a good chance that we're all right.
Yeah.
But let's see let's see, Eddie Cool, what all we got into here. Who did the people talk about?
All right, let's go. Trey Dizzle, he said, why the hell is Bill Belichick pictured here?
I put Belichick's picture on there as just to be a little funny, and it worked.
Yeah, it worked. So
Well, yeah. I mean, y'all sure?
Belichick's not getting fired unless he pulls a Gruden.
Oh, understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable, but I guess they did go 10-7 last year, so he's not doing bad. But it's one of those things. New England, they're used to championships. They're not used to falling in the first round of the playoffs. So I don't know.
And they don't know who the offensive coordinator is. They don't know who's calling plays. It could be anybody.
Well, Bill Belichick's doing that on purpose.
I called a few plays of the game. I don't know if y'all noticed.
Bill Belichick, he's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. So we'll see how it works out.
No, he's not.
Game Belichick.
He's playing Battleship, and it's about to sink.
Oh, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could easily be where whatever he's got, like what he's trying to do, may not work out. Miami, I think, could pass New England this year.
Be like, if they go 4-13, Robert Kraft isn't firing that dude. Not this year.
Mm-mm.
Well, again, that guy's name should not be mentioned on this podcast, but you just did it anyway. But yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick's also like the general manager too, so it's one of those things where, he's not going anywhere, but he's got a
little job security.
He's most likely he's going to retire if that. But there's also going to be, I guarantee you, there's going to be someone else that we're going to bring up that could be in that retirement as opposed to firing stage. But let's go into some more.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Ooh, all right, moving right along. We got Dave Ramito. He says Riverboat Ron.
Ooh. Yeah, could be. It could be. He was another guy given a little bit of power when he got to Washington, and yet, what is it, season 3 or 4 coming up for him? They haven't done much.
Season 3.
Okay.
Only thing they've done is got a new damn name. It took 3 years.
God, that is not Ron Rivera's fault at all.
No.
I think honestly the Commanders have overachieved what
it doesn't always have to be the coach's fault when he gets fired.
Didn't they win the division 2 years ago? At 8-9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
8-8 or something?
The team, the football
7-9 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was. What was my joke? The football team.
7-9, yeah.
What was my joke? The football team with no name won the division.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Coronavirus year. Yeah. That's pandemic year.
You put an asterisk by that like they do the Lakers championship? Nah, we're not going to go there. All right, Craig Burns, he says, Tom Brady, the most powerful athlete in the history of sports. He no coach. In Tampa, he holds more power than the offensive coordinator, the head coach, the general manager, and the owner. If he does not lead the team to the Super Bowl, he will definitely be feeling the heat. It's going to be fun to watch it all play out.
Okay, so I hear that Tom Brady left the team for 2 different reasons. One, because he's fighting with Giselle, and that marriage is on the rocks. And 2, he signed a deal with Fox before he went back and had a commitment to be on The Masked Singer. And The Masked Singer just wrapped up this past week. Now, when the next episode, the next season of Masked Singer starts, if you see a goat out there dancing, keep your eye out. Could be Tom Edward Fitzpatrick, blah, 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 Brady underneath that goat head.
God, the greatest of all time. God, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day,
I don't personally believe that happened. I personally just don't think Tom Brady would say, I have a commitment to Fox as well as the Buccaneers. So I'm going to go dance for a week and a half and then I'll be back. I just don't think that's Tom Brady style. So I would be shocked if the next season of The Masked Singer comes around and a head pops off and it's Brady underneath. That would shock me. I just don't think that's what's going on, but who knows?
This is Tampa Tom. This is not New England Tom.
Yeah, you never know.
I don't know what's going on. I heard it had something to do with his mom being sick. But it is either way, whatever's going on.
I hope it's not that.
I hope it's not either. But you know, we don't know. We don't never know nothing. So people start to speculating, and then and so it's just like whatever. See you week 1 and see how everything goes. If anybody's earned the right to not be there for preseason games, I think he would be the only one. I mean, even Aaron Rodgers should be there at least to give his rookie wide receivers hell.
And to root on Jordan Love, show support for Jordan Love.
Ain't no love, none. All right, so anyways, Rodney Bellamy, he says, Mike Tomlin, see ya. Steelers might win 5 games all year. That offense is going to be struggling, at least I hope.
I disagree with this.
No. It's not. This is not a agree or disagree. This is a wish.
Yeah, that's a wish.
this is a Lord, please. He doesn't think that Mike Tomlin is going to get fired. He hopes, and I don't know why. With them being a Dolphins fan, what the direct correlation is, I looked at this. I'm like, at least I hope he does. I'm like, well, why?
I know a handful of Steeler fans that want to see him gone too, but I don't think he's going to, because I think the Roonies are really high on him. They are competitive every year. I mean, they haven't won a playoff game in a few years, but
they haven't had a losing season at all with this guy.
I understand. I'm just telling you that being in the area, the things I hear around.
He's won 2, right?
Won a Super Bowl, lost a Super Bowl.
Okay.
One Super Bowl.
So yeah,
one Super Bowl, 2 appearances.
Roethlisberger has 2 championships. One with
Coward.
One with Coward. Okay, that's where I'm at. Okay, keep.
Hey, Steelers fans, let me tell you something. As a Panthers fan, me and the Almighty Be Live, we can tell you, be happy with what you have, because trying to find a replacement for what you have, tough as hell. So. Don't it always seem to go? How does the song go? How does the song go? Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone?
God.
On with you.
I'm like, man, I get it because you always want to win, but you're gonna be hard pressed to find anybody better than what Mike Tomlin has brought to that franchise.
And I think they're going to win more than 5 games this year. I don't know that I believe they're playoff bound, but I mean, you never know if Kenny Pickett, ends up getting playing time, and even if they struggle, it seems like Trubisky's probably going to be the starter for the first, at least for opening day, maybe the first few weeks. And if they struggle with him, then he'll be on a short leash, because the fans aren't going to put up with that. The fans are going to be clamoring for Kenny Pickett right out of the gate because he's playing well in preseason. And maybe he will earn that spot. I don't know. But because of that situation, I think that would even give Tomlin more grace as they're trying to work out the Roethlisberger replacement in that era. I just don't think Tomlin is going anywhere. Even if they win 5 games, I don't think that's warranted for him to get his pink slip. I just think he's been too good to Pittsburgh. The Roonies love him. There are fans that are ready for a change because they haven't won a Super Bowl in a while. But I think overall the city, still has a, it's not going to happen. I don't think. I would be very, very surprised if this one happens.
It's not happening. That's not happening. No. He over there wishing on a prayer. I wish. What how the ESPN thing go? My wish
for you. Oh my God, we gonna get nicked with all kind of copyrights. These are the karaoke versions, all right? So calm it down, calm it down. All right, Corey Logren, he said, Arthur Smith of the Atlanta Falcons. His cheeks is on the seat.
How many years is this for him?
2. This will be year number 2.
Might be a quick hook because again they're in dire straits at the quarterback position too.
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Is just I think there's only one team. No, I think for as far as starting quarterbacks, Marcus Mariota might be the worst in the NFL.
Really?
Yeah.
Worse than whoever plays for the Texans?
Yeah. I
don't even know who that is.
Davis Mills.
Davis the Neck Mills.
Oh boy.
Davis Mills. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that he's the worst. I'm just thinking when it comes to upside, when it comes to what you have to offer, I think Marcus Mariota's best days are behind him. He is right now. He's just there because that's their best option. I don't know why, how, which way, or whatever, but I don't see it. I think the Falcons could go 2-15, and they could actually win the lotto more than the Seattle Seahawks. Ooh. I went ahead and said it. I spoiled it because they're vying for Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. That's what this move is. But Arthur Smith has done
nothing. Nathaniel, not a thing. All right, I'll say it for you.
So that could very well happen. I don't think his seat is hot. I think he's just there for the time being. Because once again, what exactly do you do? What are the other viable options right now?
There's not a lot.
Like he doesn't have much to work with, let alone. But so I don't know. I see the Falcons going in the other direction, looking towards the future, and getting either C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, and then from there, if he can't do nothing with them, then that seat is going to be extra hot. But we'll see. Do they want to start with a new quarterback and a new head coach? We'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. All right, the best name in the game, JoJo Comfort. He says, I'll have to say Pete Carroll. Speaking of Seahawks Be Live.
There it is.
There it is right there. Yep. There's a lot of questions about whether his coaching was primarily responsible for Seattle's success or whether he rode the coattails of Russ, beast mode, and a great defense. Without all that star power, it's time to see what he can really do. Yeah.
I think this is overdue. I think this should have happened at the end of last year. I'd say this is a pretty safe, solid answer because we're in agreement that Seattle's going to be a little bit of doo-doo this year. Yeah. And Pete Carroll is pushing 85 years old, so I think retirement could be in order for him too. I don't know. I'm not going to disagree with that one. That could be the leading answer right there.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. Like I said before, I hinted toward it. Do they let him just ride into the sunset though, or do they pull it? Do they pull the plug?
I think they'll give him the option at the end to say we're going to allow you to retire. If not, then you fired. You're
fired. Yeah,
we're giving you the option
unless it gets unless it gets so miserable during the season and he's like an in-season casualty, which could also happen.
And I think that's in the nature of the question, because hot seats don't stay hot for 17 games.
They don't.
You either put out the fire or you get that dude off the seat.
Unless you were Adam Gase that one year.
Jesus Lord. Where is he at this point? I have to look him up just to see. He can't be nowhere near football.
He is. I think he coached in high school football. Be Live, look it up real quick. I might be wrong. All right.
I think he's at the bar.
Probably. Might be. Probably. Anyway, Randy Martin said, if Matt Rule doesn't have a winning season or the playoffs, he may be out.
Go ahead, Carolina fan. Opine on Eddie Cool.
He might be right. Randy Martin is, can't deny that because it's going to be a show and prove year, brah. This is going to be it. I mean,
It's a prove it year for the quarterback and the coach on this team.
So it's clinchy. It's real tight in Carolina. So Chris McCaffrey got to stay healthy. There's a lot going on. All right. Anthony Wilson said, I think Mike is on the hot seat. He has all that talent and can't do anything with it, and it doesn't make it any better that the division is weak. He has to figure it out this year. Mike as in Mike McCarthy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy.
I'm going to tell you 2 reasons why I'm going to not pick McCarthy as my answer as a Cowboy fan. And I think I think the possibility exists that the Joneses would like to have Sean Payton or Dan Quinn in the place, but they already could have done that if they want to. But here's what makes me not so sure about that one. And that is because Jason Garrett was terrible for 8 years and they wouldn't let him go because Jerry Jones didn't want to show that he was wrong about hiring that guy. And Jerry Jones' ego remains intact. So that's one reason. Plus, you usually don't fire a coach who wins the Super Bowl. So there's also that.
Well, that didn't work for him in Green Bay. So what you?
No, I mean on that season, on the season when they win the Super Bowl, usually you get to keep your job the next year. So
you see what he did there? Y'all saw what he did, B-Live. I saw what he just did.
I didn't see it because I can't see that.
I can't see the Cowboys losing this year. I can't see them losing the game. It's going to be really.
You know what? Stop. You know what? Stop the presses. We're not even going to continue. We'll come back to choices of voices because I wanted to hear this from him right now. You give me one good reason that the Cowboys have anywhere close to a possibility of winning the Super Bowl this year, and I want you to just give me one good reason.
Brandon Keith Chestnut says Rule needs to leave with his son Darnold. So thank you for answering, Brandon Keith Chestnut. We appreciate that comment.
Yeah, Brandon. That was funny. Brandon Chestnut said, "Rule needs to leave and take his son Sam Darnold with him."
That's going to happen. Sam Darnold will not be a Panther next year, so no. you go ahead and call that a L. It's a wrap for him.
Yeah.
Coach Rule, but yeah, Coach Rule is on a very, very, very hot seat. Like it's got to happen.
Yeah.
Here's another pitchfork coming for Coach Rule there with Martin Tracy. How about you give him back the part? I didn't have you just take over his part because you refused to answer how your Cowboys is going to win. Eddie Cool Amtrak this thing.
I got it. I got it. Here we go. And I'm going to save the best for last. Here we go. We got Matty Ice. Matty Ice said, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Sports Bros podcast.
Deflection.
Martin Tracy, he said, Rule is obviously in the mix with Smith from Atlanta, and there are other good candidates that will be gone if they don't have a good year or show drastic improvements. Rule's saving grace is the talents, health, and Baker playing on 1 year with a chip on his shoulder. Do or die time for him as well, as my hunch is they do well. Like one of my friends likes to say, with no further ado, I believe Arthur Smith will be lucky to make it through the entire season, and even then, might be a lame duck by the end of the year anyway. Sorry, Atlanta. #28-3.
Yeah, not letting that go. That's a little Super Bowl.
You can't, Dad. You can't. That was funny. As a Panthers fan, I was goody. That's what you get. Trying to be cute. We gonna throw the ball. Only thing I had to do was run it, and run it some more. All right, folks. With that being said, big shout out to Trey Dizzle, Dave Ramito, Craig Burns, Rodney Bellamy, Corey Logren, JoJo Comfort, the best name in the game, Randy Martin, Anthony Wilson, Bryson Sellers, Brandon Chestnut, Matty Ice, Martin Tracy for their contributions in this week's choices of the voices. Scotty D, what say you?
I heard some good ones in there that I agree with, particularly Pete Carroll, but there's one that didn't get mentioned that I think could be in trouble, and that is Cliff Kingsbury with the Cardinals.
Wow.
Yeah, Kingsbury's 24-24, and he has not won a playoff game yet. And I kind of feel like they must make some strides this year. They're giving Kyler Murray a brand new contract. They're all in on him. If Arizona has yet another kind of flat season or doesn't have some sort of postseason success, they could be looking for someone else to develop that quarterback in that team. So I think Cliff Kingsbury has to be good this year. If they are if they go 8-9, don't make the playoffs, I think a change could be made. And because I think Arizona is looking at now is their time to strike while the iron's hot. I think they're thinking their window is open right now. What do you think, B-Live?
That is bold. Like I would think Arizona is trending up as opposed to trending down with Kingsbury.
Well, but if they, that's what I'm saying. If they don't, if he has another year without playoff success, if they win a playoff game, I think he's fine. I think they're going to have to win their division, which, I mean, Seattle's not winning that division. Who else they got there? The Rams. They're, that's gonna be hard.
Arizona's not winning their division, but I have them in the playoffs. I definitely have them in the playoffs. I don't see nothing tells me. I don't say nothing tells me about the Arizona Cardinals that they're trending in the wrong direction and need to fire their coach. They're one of the few teams that I think are in the right direction. Now it's just a matter of getting their personnel together. His play calling is there. It's just a matter. Yes, I don't even.
Well, they started so hot last year, and then they turned the opposite. They were at one point like 8-0, 9-0,
Mm-hmm.
and they did not finish strong. They finished in the wrong direction, and if that trend continues, then I think the guy could be in hot water again. If they go 11-5 or 11-6 rather, and they make the playoffs and win a playoff game, most likely he'll be okay. But if they don't do that, then I think that they might be looking for a change out there.
I can see. Okay, I'll give you that. But Cliff Kingsbury is one of those golden boy situations that you got in the NFL right now. Everybody wants their Sean McVay. That's right. Essentially, yeah. They want that. Arizona has their Sean McVay with Cliff Kingsbury. I see what you're trying to say, but there's a lot of teams out there that are much worse off at the head coach position than the Arizona Cardinals. I'll put that out there. What I'm going to put out there, I'm going to go the other direction as to why the hottest seat in the NFL should be right there in Dallas. I will honorable mention is Seattle with Pete Carroll, but I think they should allow him to ride to the sunset. Maybe they'll have that discussion at the end of the season, like, hey, bro, this ain't working out. We're going to allow you to bow out. Carolina, Matt Rule, he has to have success early. With the Cowboys, I'm going to tell you what it's going to be the ultimate demise for Mike McCarthy. If at any given point in time in these first 8 or 9 games that they repeat their performance of the first preseason game and have 17 penalties, his ass is fired. That is just undisciplined. That's the reason why. Like, I think that just shows I will give them even an olive branch the fact that they're hurt so much at their wide receiver position, but that right there doesn't take away from just overall discipline of the team. That would go into like having that chemistry. Maybe some routes may be off a little bit, but there's 11 offensive penalties. That'll get a coach fired in a quickness. And with Dallas Jerry Jones cannot go another 8 years with another subpar head coach. He should not go another year being the president, CEO, and the general manager. That's another story within itself. But he needs. That's why he's got to be strong enough for your fan base to be able to say that this did not work out at all. He's got to be the man to swallow this and be like, "Yo, I have not done my fans right."
He does. This guy's ego doesn't allow that.
But it's got to show at some point in time. I know for a fact that Cowboy fans cannot sit along idly by and watch penalty after penalty after penalty and let this continue to go on. That the discipline isn't there.
Man, it wasn't there with the last guy.
But
Wasn't the last guy.
But so
and the fans were screaming at the top of their lungs. They wanted him out. They wanted Wade Phillips out, and he kept him along a couple years too long. Jason Garrett should never have been the head coach for 8.5 years. Never should have happened that way. It should have been years and years ago that it was apparent to everybody that lives down there and watches the Cowboys that Jason Garrett was not delivering that team to a championship. We all knew it. We knew.
But it's apparent right now. But again, I agree. I guess you're going off. Weren't y'all like 12-5 last year?
Yes.
But you lost your first game in the palm.
Couldn't win a home playoff game against Jimmy G.
Yeah. So I'm using my platform right now as a member of the Sports Bros podcast to put a Bunsen burner underneath that seat, turn that almost high and light that on fire underneath Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. I don't see anything about him that makes him a great. He couldn't survive Green Bay and winning a Super Bowl. What do you think he's going to do in Dallas? That's a shame before the Lord.
Do you remember my reaction the day we found out who the head coach was going to be?
What episode
we were on the air.
What episode? I got to find that episode. I got to find that.
You should have that same fire, that same vigor right now because you've had to deal with it for years now. Hey, and you've got zero reserves. Preaching to the choir.
Choir, Reverend Live, you're preaching to the choir.
I was saying, that's the person. This question, I sort of hit it toward also where who you think is going to be fired and who you want to be fired. I'm not even a Dallas Cowboy fan. I want Mike McCarthy fired. It doesn't make any sense.
The only thing that makes me think possibly that you could be right is the fact that Jerry Jones is now, I think, 78 years old. He knows he's running out of lifetime, not just out of out of football time. He's got to know he doesn't have much time to be carrying a trophy around on the field. So maybe he's going to have a little bit more urgency. So if it doesn't work this year, he'll make a change. But he just has proven in the past that he just, as the general manager, his coaching hires have not been very good after Jimmy Johnson and then a pretty good one in Bill Parcells. And other than that, he's given us Barry Switzer, Dave Campa, Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett, and now Mike McCarthy. That's not really a good selection right there. And the same guys picked all of them.
The only thing Jerry Jones should be picking at this point is what to eat for lunch, his boogers, and his draws out his ass at this point, all right? Those are the only three things that he should be picking at this point in time. He's my worst as Vince McMahon, all right?
I'm gonna do you one solid, Scotty D, because I know you got a question lined up for this week. But in a future week, can we ask the people which NFL owner should be fired? Can we put that in there? Can we pencil that into the program?
Let's do that one for next week. There you have it. There's our question for the week.
Because I've already mentioned one. There's another one out there that has Riverboat Ron Rivera as his coach. Riverboat Ron should stay. He needs to go. But that I could go on for days about a few people that, bruh.
Yeah.
All right, so there's our question for the week next week. What NFL owner would you most like to see fired? And that'll give us something to talk about. Thank you for the suggestion, B-Live. I'm taking it.
I'm gonna throw in an honorable mention. I'm gonna say the owner of the Green Bay Packers should be fired. You know who they are?
The people.
Fire the people for not drafting a first-round wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, God. That's hilarious. Well, that's what's on tap for next week for the Choices of the Voices. Join us next week for another edition of the Choices of the Voices as we figure out what owner or the people need to be
Well, what you got for us this week, Scotty T?
I think that's the question.
That's it. We're going with that one.
Oh, we're rolling with it?
We're rolling with
That'll
it.
be it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That'll
do it. I had a college football question. We'll wait until next week to do that one. We're on topic with the owner thing. Let's do it. We're going with that one.
Might as well. Hey, the grit's on the stove and it's cooking, boiling, and percolating, if you will. All right, that's it for this week's Choices of the Voices. Coming up next, Pepper. And I got one request, baby. Please don't sneeze and get your boogers on me. A round of pepper coming right up.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, you heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go, we're going to do a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really, here to engage, enlighten, educate, and entertain. Be live. I got the 4 E's this time. I got it right this time. Because I don't know how in the hell 4 turned into 3, carried 1, and the past participles and all that good stuff. So
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell me either as well, too. But with that being said, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1883, the Philadelphia Quakers made 27 errors against the Providence Grays. In a 27 of them things, all right? In a 28-0 shutout defeat at Mercer Street Grounds. Wild pitches, walks, pass balls counts as errors in the Major League Baseball prior to 1888. So if you walk, it's an error. A pass ball, okay, I get it. A wild pitch, I get it. But a walk, an error? I'm glad they
scored a...
Yeah.
Never heard that before.
Yep, that's weird. So 27 errors. Would I would have watched that game? Probably not. I probably would have turned in the 3rd inning. Over to you, Scotty D.
That's like having 17 penalties in a preseason game kind of thing. It's very, very similar. So the best team in baseball in the first half of the season won 4 out of 19 games during a stretch in August. That's right. The New York Yankees fell hard, circled the drain, couldn't hit. When they did hit, they couldn't get pitching. It's been awful. They need somebody like Paul O'Neill to step in there for the Yankees. And actually on Sunday, that's what they got. Paul O'Neill, number 21 for the Yankees dynasty team, was retired on Sunday, inspired the team to finally snap out of the funk and deliver a 4-2 victory to spare themselves of a 4-game sweep against the Toronto Blue Jays. I got to tell you, I was a little surprised that Paul O'Neill got his number retired because he was a really good player, but he was not a Hall of Fame candidate, or at least he was not elected to the Hall of Fame. But Paul O'Neill, man, back in those late 90s, early 2000 Yankee teams was like just heart and soul. He would never have stood for a team going 4-15. He would have busted up the dugout. He would have knocked over water coolers, smashed water coolers, and breathed some life into those teams, man. He was a fire plug on the team. You know, a team that had Bernie Williams and Derek Jeter and Posada and Girardi and all those legends from that era of the Yankees. Paul O'Neill, number 21, now retired. There's a lot of numbers retired on the Yankees, so that is quite an honor. So congratulations to Paul O'Neill, a modern Yankee legend. Be Live, over to you.
Well, it is good that the Yankees may have gotten one win out of all the mess that they've been going through. But during this slide that the Yankees have been going through, this is a nice little segue into my pepper point, is that my Atlanta Braves have actually passed the New York Yankees as now the 4th best team in all of Major League Baseball. They're still trailing the likes of the Houston Astros, New York Mets, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. So it's nice. It's nice, you know, say Atlanta Braves is doing big things, except for one thing that is not sitting well with the Atlanta Braves faithful.
Oh boy.
This conversation keeps coming up time and time and time and time again. I make around $40,000 a year. I get Uber and Lyft because of the past mistakes I've made in the past. These are professional athletes that are making millions of dollars a year. Let somebody else drive. You can afford somebody to tow your car to where it needs to go, get a driver, whatever. But the Atlanta Braves fans are not happy with the fact that Marcell Ozuna suited up again for the Braves while he has that looming DUI sitting over his head. He suited up, did terribly every time he stepped up to the to bat. The fans booed him. This was at home. The fans are not happy that Ozuna is suiting up. He said this is motivation for him. Hopefully it's the right motivation for him to clean up his act. He was not part of the team when they won the World Series last year. He's a promising up-and-coming player, but he's heading in the wrong direction, production-wise and off-the-field issues as well. Don't know what to tell you, except what we famously tell all the misfits in the professional athlete world, hashtag do better. Eddie Cool, the ball.
You got to do better, man. Ozuna had that domestic violence charge, and now this. And I don't know. You got to figure it out. Marshawn Lynch, I don't know. You got to figure it out. All right. So, week 2, NFL preseason. A punter for the New Orleans Saints by the name of Blake Gillikin booted a punt of 81 yards during the Saints' 20-10 loss to the Green Bay Packers this past Friday night. Now, according to CBS Sports, somebody at NFL headquarters said, wait a minute, you ain't supposed to be doing that. And that being said, Gillikin received a text at 7:16 a.m. on Sunday, and it says, you were selected for a random in-season drug test. This test will take place today, August 21st, 2022 at the facility. The test should be completed before the team meeting at 10 a.m. So he ain't had no time to get breakfast, wash his ass, drink coffee, drink orange juice, look at highlights from last night. If he got his wife or girlfriend, talk to her and plan life and weddings and all that mess. Nope, you got to take a test because you kicked the ball 81 yards. So Gillikin's punt is the second one to travel 80 yards or more, right? So last time this was done, it was done by Corey Bojorquez of the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, yeah, him.
Yeah, owned by the people. So pretty much he had the game of his life during the preseason. He punted the ball 5 times during that game, and they averaged 59.4 yards per kick. All right, he also had a 65-yarder punt that pinned the Packers to their own 4-yard line. And he was arguably the MVP during that game. All right, in his first full year as the starter last season, he was a weapon for the Saints, according to CBS.com. Not only did he rank 6th overall in yards per punt, 50, let's go say 50, but he also ranked 7th in net punting average at 42. So all it takes is one punt that literally hung up in the air for 80 yards and bounced another 5. You ain't supposed to be doing that. Before you drink any orange juice, drink water, or even smell the coffee brewing, take this test. You got to be completed by 10.
I think they should be exempt. I think place kickers and punters should be allowed to take all the steroids in the world because they're not hitting anybody.
No,
they're just kicking a ball. They're not in danger and threat of getting a statistical or competitive advantage on anybody. But that I just want a punter.
Yeah. Over to you, Scotty D.
All right. Speaking of awesome baseball teams, let me give you a quick update on the Pirates here. B-Live last week spoke of young Rodolfo Castro, who slid into third base and had his cell phone pop out of his pocket. It's actually considered a violation because of cheating scandals in the past to have a cell phone on the field. And the Major League Baseball was so worried about this situation that he gets suspended a game. Got a little tiny fine, a game. You know you're that terrible when you could possibly be cheating and people don't care. They say, go ahead and give that guy a game. That's good enough. What's next on my desk? Things are so bad in Pittsburgh that the Boston Red Sox, a team 2 games under 500 at the time, showed up in Pittsburgh last week. And Dennis Eckersley, Hall of Famer doing color for the Red Sox, said that this team, and I quote, is a hodgepodge of nothingness. He said, we went to a Royals game. We played the Royals the other day, and that young team also wasn't winning, but they have a little something going on. This team, with this little tiny payroll, is a hodgepodge of nothingness. The Pirate fans were not enraged. They agreed. Who was enraged? Brian Reynolds, who said, now slow down, Brian Reynolds. He said he couldn't give any less of a crap. And after that sharp rebuke to Dennis Eckersley, the Buccos went out and defended their honor the following day with an 8-3 loss. The Buccos coming, not cheating, even with electronics on the field, not cheating. Let's go Bucks. Be live. Take it away from me.
They said not a problem, not a threat. Just serve one game. Damn.
Oh, man. The Buccos are hosting my Braves right now.
They are. We're in a rain delay as of the moment.
All right. My second pepper point. It hurt to see this. I did not notice. But I forget what exactly I was watching. But Torrey Holt was on one of those talking head shows. It might have been on CBS Sports. I switched it up. Every now and again, trying to catch some other sports knowledge and everything. And Torrey Holt was talking with his hands. And I happened to notice when he was talking with his hands that he had that one digit that just ain't quite going with the rest of them. And I'm like, why is his hand like that? Come to find out that his finger, I believe it is his middle finger, has been dislocated so many times that it is in a permanent post pattern position. If you don't know what a post pattern is where it's not a slant, but it's his finger is bent permanently at a 45-degree angle. For somebody that talks with his hands, don't. Torrey Holt, hopefully it should be a Hall of Famer. I mean, prolific wide receiver. God, that hurts. But yeah, don't talk with your hands. Just don't. Woo.
Put on some mittens.
Some
mittens.
Just Eddie Cool post route, the ball.
I'm gonna be on TV talking about, hey, well, see, guys, on today's game, we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. I'm gonna be pointing here, not with that curl route. You're not. Cut it out.
2 people that should not talk with their hands: Torrey Holt and Jason Pierre-Paul. I said what I said.
Boom.
All right. Third and final pepper point. Speaking of people that should not just be. Okay, as we know, we've heard ad nauseum about the whole Deshaun Watson situation. A verdict was finally handed down after what seemed like forever and a day. 11 games, $5 million. And when he returns, guess where he returns? In Houston, Texas.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah, that's on purpose.
I don't care what anybody
So
did that on purpose.
So you mean to tell me you couldn't give him 12 games? Somebody else think they funny, and this ain't funny. All right, so here we go. The Cleveland Browns played host to the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, and it was a rain-soaked game, and Joshua Dobbs got his shine on, so forth and so such, right? But there's a cringeworthy photo. Yes, sir. There's a cringeworthy photo that has surfaced on social media and involves a father and his son. And the sign goes, and I quote, the father's is two signs. The father's holding a sign that says, F them garden tools. And the little boy's holding a sign saying, Free Watson. You can't. First of all, I don't have kids, but you can't put your kids in situations like this. Because that little boy don't know what in the hell is going on. He doesn't understand the ramifications of what happened with Deshaun Watson to why that sign has been generated. I will say this is poor parenting and a bad joke. Like, that is definitely not a good look. Like, you're going to subject your son to a lot of ridicule. You're probably, don't be surprised if you got rights groups in your DMs, in your inbox, in your front yard picketing. Don't be surprised if you got, Fox 8 or Cleveland 19, or they be, or the local NBC affiliate knocking on your door. Sir, I understand freedom of speech and freedom of expression, but this is not a good look. F them garden tools, Free Watson. Man, you, sir, as a man, really have to do better. Because my thing is, I ain't worried about you because you know what you're doing. It's your son that I'm concerned about. It's your son that I'm concerned about. So parents, a tip to being a good parent is don't drag your young children into adult stuff. Children have a place, and let children be children. And that's all I got to say about that. Over to you, Scotty D.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so B Live has a habit every now and again of bringing up the USFL and telling me what's going on in that league. And now I'm interested because the MVP is in Big D. Kavontae Turpin took not one, but two to the house the other night in a nearly penalty-free game. Well, 7 penalties anyway, 8 penalties. Way down from 17. It was a love fest for the Cowboys the other night against the Chargers. He took a kickoff 98 yards to the house. Woo! That wasn't enough. He took a punt 86 yards to the house. Woo! Man, I'm telling you, we got an MVP in Dallas. He could be a league MVP candidate at this point. We don't know. We don't know. The sky's the limit for Kavontae Turpin. I mean, penalties are down. Special teams are up. Mike McCarthy's seat is getting cool as we speak. Be Live, it could be our year in college and in pro. Over to you.
All thanks to Kavontae Turpin.
I'm telling you.
And the USFL.
Yes, I love the USFL. Pipeline to the Cowboys.
The Cowboys penalties are down. Their special teams are up. And we want the smoke.
Woo!
Third and final pepper point. I don't normally do this. When it comes to my pepper points. Because, people talk trash all over the place. And, I talk trash all the time. I don't use my platform to give other people that talk trash a platform, essentially. Like, I don't give them benefit of, what the trash that they talk may ever sort of, quote-unquote, get to me. But this one right here, he wakes up every morning. He goes to sleep every night year after year after year idolizing LeBron James. This guy is nonstop trying to build up LeBron James' name and tear down Michael Jordan's legacy. I don't know why. Where did Michael Jordan hurt you, sir? You know I'm talking to you, and I'm going to mention you by name, Mr. Tim Livingston. My cousin out there. Every day he wakes up finding some reason that LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. You've lost, sir. You've absolutely lost, because today it was announced that the PGA Tour 2K23 video game will feature the likes of Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan will be a playable character on PGA Tour 2K23. You know you are the GOAT when you get on not only your sports video game, but also in golf. Michael Jordan isn't even that good in golf, but just the fact of the matter, he is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. He's going to be featured in a golf game. LeBron James, do that, sir. Tim Livingston, get off of LeBron James. Woo-hoo. Go ahead and edit that out. Call it a day. I said what I said. Just stop it. It's over. The GOAT conversation is over. Michael Jordan's the greatest. Shout out to Bill Russell, all-time great. He is the greatest. He has the most titles. Nobody's ever going to catch him. But the comparison is over. Michael Jeffrey Jordan will always be better. I said what I said. Good guys out. For PGA Tour 2K23 featuring Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Yes, sir.
Yep, that's some trend-setting stuff there. All right, fellas, we all got our pepper points in?
That's it, buddy.
All right.
Want to give a shout out to
real quick. I did quick research, found out that Adam Gase.
Adam Eyeball Gase.
Offensive coordinator for his local high school in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Wow. He's not even a head coach. He's an offensive coordinator. He went from NFL head coach to a high school offensive coordinator.
He could be eyeballing the 8th grade head coaching job next. You never know.
Literally and figuratively.
Not Pop Warner. No.
And shout out.
So I will not go.
Go ahead, Scotty D.
We got to give a shout out to Albert Pujols. We were talking about his home run deal last week. He had 2 in one game the other day, and he had a grand slam for home run 690 the other day as well. So Pujols is still getting it done.
Yep. Sick. Hey, let's go. Let's go. How many games we got left in the season?
We got 5. We still got it. We got
5 or 6 weeks left, so still got a little time.
Let's go, Pujols to 700. I was like, Scotty D, he hit 3 in the X amount of games. I said, here we go.
Yeah, I think he's at 692 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, 692. Yep. Let's go. Let's go, Pujols. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, make me sound like I know what the hell I'm talking about for once in my life. That's been another episode of the Sports Bros podcast. Shout out to our guest, James Burns, American Ninja Warrior, for joining us. What I was going to say, I don't know, but to those of you
that do something nice.
Well, before that, shout out to WOBL, WDLW Radio. I had my chance to be on the radio doing high school football, and chances are you might hear me on there again. So go download the app, the WOBL, WDLW app, and check me out Friday nights talking high school football here in good old Northeast Ohio. I'm still in shock, like, well, you do run your mouth on your podcast one day a week, but you're on radio. It's just, I haven't come down off that high yet. No, it's not a sugar high. It's just like adrenaline. So I'm looking forward to it again.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sports Bros. You've been some of my biggest supporters, and everybody else out there, thank you. Dreams come true. Just keep on dreaming. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Please do not be like that lame father that had his son with that F them garden tools free Watson t-shirt. In the words of the money man Scotty D, do better because we all got good in us. And with that being said, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Beat out if you know what to do.
Yes, sir.
And just like that, we're out. See you next week. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, it's Eddie Cool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. And do you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life? Wait a minute, don't answer that. The answer is yes. And I know you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life. Do us a small favor. Go to the description box, click our Linktree link, and you'll see all the links on how to follow the Sports Bros Podcast. Once again, thanks for listening.